Air knew very well that Pure didn't love her anymore, and she tried to accept it while living her life as normally as possible, but it was incredibly difficult. Pure stopped seeing her, stopped talking to her, and disappeared as if she no longer existed in the world. Of course, that pretty-faced girl never called out for her either, which was probably for the best, for both of them, or maybe for all three of them. What was happening now, the feelings growing inside her, felt like a repeat of what happened a year ago when they broke up for many reasons. The difference this time was that Air believed this was a real goodbye. There was no hope left, no future in sight. Pure wasn't someone who said she wouldn't wait and then came back later. Her little one had completely allowed someone new to take the place of someone from the past. That's why this goodbye felt like it was forever. The lights inside the ceramic studio were still on, since it was only 6 in the evening. Normally, if Pure didn't have plans elsewhere, she would still be busy working inside. But when Air looked through the clear glass, she didn't see even a shadow of the pretty girl. Her effort to move on had been worn down by longing. Air had held herself back for many days, trying not to come here, but in the end she could resist anymore. She drove over just to stop by and look from a distance. She had no intention of showing herself. She just wanted to see the face of the person who had always held her heart one last time. Pure loves Pierre more than anyone in the world. You said that during the first year we were together. Well, I still love you more than anyone in the world. And how long will I be your most loved in the world? Forever. But I knew there's no such thing as forever, Pure. I never waited. You never asked me to wait. So what was I supposed to do? Is it really that easy to love someone else? Loving someone else wasn't something Pure could easily do at the time. But that didn't mean it was impossible. Once again, Air found herself crying just from remembering the past. The love and bond they shared, so tight it was painful to let go. She didn't know how much time it would take for the pain to ease. She just hoped that, eventually, as a woman in her early 30s, she would learn how to handle everything better, including heartbreak. When the person she came to see from afar wasn't there, disappointment took over. Her exhausted body returned to her place not long after. The sofa in the middle of the room became her final stop. Air collapsed onto it. What else was she trying to do? The petite young woman just wanted to stay still and gaze blankly at her surroundings. Maybe she really should take a break like Lamp had suggested. The past several days, she had allowed her emotions to sink too deeply into sorrow. Thinking this, she reached into her bag to find her mobile phone and call her close younger sister, whom she hadn't seen or spoken to at all lately. Hello, Pierre. She waited for the signal before hearing a flat greeting from the other end. Air frowned slightly, surprised by Loft's reaction. It was quite different from what she had expected. Normally, Loft's behavior was the opposite. If she called, the tall girl would usually express joy in her voice. Is this a good time to talk? Yes, it is. What's up, Air? Is someone staying at the house in Patia? She got straight to the point, and the response from the other side revealed just how shocked Loft was. Huh? Or do you actually have a girlfriend now? If I go on a trip to Patia, is there a room I can sleep in? Air clarified her earlier question. This time, the person on the other end went so quiet that she had to call her name, thinking the call might have been disconnected. Loft. There's a room available. When are you coming? Tomorrow. Is that too sudden? Well, a little. I've never really seen you do anything so suddenly before. The voice on the other end laughed after pointing out the unusual behavior, which Air could only nod in agreement with. It was true, as Loft had said. Rarely did she ever make such impulsive, last-minute decisions without careful planning. But it wasn't hard to understand. Right now, what could you expect from someone who was emotionally fragile and on the verge of falling apart at any moment. If it's inconvenient, I can take some time to plan first. You can come tomorrow. I'll have the housekeeper get the room ready for you. Okay, see you tomorrow. Good night. Hearing that there was no hesitation or mention of the suspicion that Loft wasn't living alone made her realize that maybe she had misunderstood the situation after all. Good night. The phone that had been pressed against her ear was slowly lowered until it was placed down beside her. Loft sat still, her body cold with tension, her heart beating fast and hard. Her mind was racing, trying to process the sudden announcement from her former sister-in-law. She had never imagined this scenario, hadn't prepared herself for this unexpected visit, especially while Pure was still here with her. It was terrible timing for someone who had only just begun to float on a fragile wave of happiness. She had spent only a few days with Pure, trying to temporarily erase the guilt that lingered in her heart. Yet in the end, the very person who felt like a sharp blade constantly piercing her conscience had announced that she would be arriving, coming to stand right in front of her. And most importantly, Loft had no idea how to handle it. Would her beautiful lover choose to avoid the situation, or face it? Even though she didn't want to hope, deep down, she knew that if it were possible, she would truly be happy if Pure chose not to run away. I thought you were working. What are you sitting here doing? The playful voice of someone in long-sleeved pajamas and loose pants snapped Loft out of her thoughts. She turned immediately to look, her eyes swept over the figure dressed modestly, yet the top button of the shirt was undone just enough to reveal smooth, fair skin, making her look subtly, effortlessly sexy. With someone like Pure, even the slightest bit of exposed skin could shake the heart of anyone watching. Her charm ran that deep. Come here, Pure, I want to talk to you. The younger woman didn't respond with words, but instead called Pure over to sit close, ready to discuss something important. The truth was, she wasn't ready to accept Pure's decision, not yet. Loft was scared and unsure. Anxiety had returned to gnaw at her, stirring up chaos within. Her heart, which had just recently calmed for a brief moment, was once again caught in the same relentless storm of feelings. She was afraid of how fragile Pure could be, afraid of the bond between them proving too powerful to sever, afraid that Pure might change her mind and leave her, terrified that the happiness she had only just begun to piece back together would crumble in the blink of an eye. What is it? Seeing the serious look on Loft's face, Pure asked with concern. Loft sat there with her brows tightly furrowed, and when she finally looked into Pure's eyes, it was impossible to miss the sorrow clearly reflected in them. Pure walked over and let herself drop gently onto the seat beside her, turning to face Loft as she waited to hear what the other woman wanted to say. Loft was silent for a brief moment before taking a deep breath and finally speaking, her voice steady but soft. Pierre is coming here tomorrow. It felt like being hit in the head with something hard. That's how Pure reacted upon hearing those words. She swallowed thickly, her breath catching in her throat, and her once steady heartbeat immediately turned erratic. She was sure the shock showed plainly on her face, and that reaction did go unnoticed. It stung more than a little for Loft, who had secretly hoped for something else. Loft had already figured that her beautiful lover probably wasn't ready to make their relationship public so quickly, but seeing Pure's face go pale and watching her avoid eye contact so completely, those things pierced her heart. Maybe hopping that Pure would instantly stand up and take a clear stance had always been a hopeless dream. Maybe Loft should have given her more time. She understood just how difficult this was. And yet, she couldn't stop herself from feeling hurt. What's she coming for? Just to rest, I guess. If you don't want to see her, I think you might have to leave the house in the morning. Loft said, lowering her eyes to avoid meeting Pure's gaze. What time is she coming? I don't know. She just said she'd be here tomorrow. Okay. Whatever happens, I let you know, P. Pure. Pure didn't explicitly say how she planned to handle the situation, but Loft could guess, returning to Bangkok early to avoid facing her ex-lover. Seemed like the most likely path the beautiful older woman would choose. Do you really want me to meet Pierre, Loft? I don't want to rush anything. We'll deal with us when the time is right. There was both truth and a lie in that sentence. It was true that she did want to push, but if the woman in front of her could resolve what was left, hanging sooner rather than later, it would be better for both of them. But your eyes don't say that. Deep down, I do hope you'll do something more clear, but I get it, it's probably too soon. Do you really understand? Pure's trembling gaze fixed on Loft, stealing the breath from her lungs. Both of them were so fragile, like they could shatter into pieces at the slightest emotional trigger. I really do understand, but I can't stop myself from feeling bad. Let me think about it. I'll let you know later. Loft placed a gentle hand on her shoulder and gave it a soft pat before standing to her full height and walking away, leaving Pure alone, weighed down once again by the burden of having to make a choice. Pure watched the younger woman walk farther and farther away. Even though she couldn't see Loft's face at that moment, it wasn't hard to imagine the sadness that must have been there. Loft had tried not to pressure her, was even willing to give her the time she needed to sort everything out, but it was difficult to pretend not to feel shaken whenever Air was brought into the picture. If someone were to ask whether Pure was ready to break Air's heart right now, the answer would be a clear no. She had never wanted to be the one to hurt that person any more than she already had. But if she kept dragging things out like this, it wouldn't be fair to Loft either. Ever since she was born and raised, she had always hated having to make choices, but never more so than at the age of 28. How many times had her decisions left someone else wounded? And how often had every path, no matter which she chose, ended up hurting at least one person? Even so, Pure knew she had to choose once more, this time to finally stop leaving scars on anyone else's heart.